Trucks rolled through the gates of Balmoral Castle before sunrise. No announcement, no permission. Just headlights cutting through the Scottish mist and a full commercial film crew quietly setting up inside the most private royal estate in Britain. And the man who arranged all of it, he wasn't even there. His name is Tom Parker Bowles, son of Queen Camilla, stepson of King Charles. And what he allegedly pulled off, right under the royal family's noses, isn't just scandalous. It's the kind of thing that could shake this institution to its core. Here's where you need to stop and really picture this. Balmoral isn't just some fancy castle. It's the place where Queen Elizabeth II drew her last breath. September 8th, 2022. Princess Anne was sitting in those very rooms, watching her mother die. The grand ballroom held the Queen's coffin while the nation wept. So when Anne walked through those doors that morning, completely unannounced, and found lighting rigs towering over antique furniture, catering stations set up in the corridors, and strangers repositioning things in the room where her mother died, something broke inside her. Staff said she was physically shaking, not composed, steel-nerved Princess Anne, shaking. She shut it down instantly. Every crew member, every piece of equipment, out within the hour. Security had to physically intervene just to manage how intense it got. Then she picked up the phone and called King Charles. His response? He had absolutely no idea any of this was happening. Now, wait, because here's where it gets really dark. Tom had allegedly walked into a production company, sat down across from them, looked them dead in the eye, and told them he had full authority to grant access to Balmoral. As Camilla's son, as a man connected to the crown, the doors were his to open, he said. Money moved almost immediately, hundreds of thousands of pounds allegedly flowing into Tom's personal accounts as advanced payments for access that, according to investigators, he had absolutely zero right to sell. And Balmoral wasn't the only property on his list. Sandringham, Windsor Castle, multiple contracts, multiple companies. All of it, allegedly, built on the exact same lie. But here's the part that really makes you sit up straight. To stop anyone from asking questions too soon, Tom allegedly went even further. Forged documents, fake official-looking authorizations, crafted to look like genuine palace paperwork shown to contractors whenever doubts started surfacing. When investigators finally started pulling the financial records apart, they weren't looking at one man's bad decision. They were looking at a pattern, years of it, quietly running right in plain sight. And to understand why anyone believed him in the first place, you need to go back, all the way back, to 1999. Tom was 24, working at Cannes Film Festival. An undercover reporter caught him on tape casually, confidently, offering to arrange cocaine for a party girl. When investigators dug deeper, they found 3 years at Oxford, 3 years of allegedly procuring cocaine, ecstasy, and cannabis, and reportedly supplying it to the people around him. When it broke publicly, Camilla wept. Charles called Tom a bloody fool. And then, quietly, without any public announcement, palace officials held a private meeting to discuss whether Tom Parker Bowles posed a genuine safeguarding risk to the future King of England. Prince William was 16 years old. That conversation never went public. Tom faced no meaningful consequences. The protection held. And honestly, that's the thread that runs through absolutely everything that followed. Fast forward to the Balmoral fallout. The moment Camilla understood what her son had done and how determined Anne was to drag it into a courtroom, she stopped waiting. She went straight to Charles. She argued that pursuing Tom legally would cause more damage to the monarchy than anything Tom had actually done. Anne heard that argument and saw straight through it. The confrontation between these two women was not the kind of quiet, restrained disagreement that royals are supposed to have. Staff reportedly heard raised voices through the walls. Anne didn't move an inch. Camilla allegedly went around Anne and contacted the royal legal team directly, attempting to have the investigation shut down. Then, and this is the part that stunned even seasoned royal insiders, household staff reportedly received communications suggesting that their loyalty meant standing behind Tom, not cooperating with investigators, standing behind Tom. Several of those employees walked quietly to Anne's legal team and told them exactly what had been said to them. That move handed Anne's lawyers a brand new layer of evidence. Camilla had just made things significantly worse. She then reportedly funded Tom's entire legal defense out of her own personal fortune. And the strategy wasn't to credibly defend what Tom had done. It was to destroy Anne, to paint her as a vindictive, bitter woman, weaponizing the courts in a decades-long personal war against Camilla. Deeply dishonest, but it found an audience because the history between these two women is genuinely complicated. When Charles married Camilla in 2005, Queen Elizabeth herself had a formal written document prepared confirming that Anne would never be required to curtsy to Camilla. Anne had asked for that document personally. Think about what it means that such a document even had to exist. And before that, back in the early 1970s, Camilla's boyfriend was Andrew Parker Bowles, who was, at the very same time, in a relationship with Anne. He chose Camilla, married her in 1973. One royal historian called what followed a bizarre love rectangle, pulling in both of the Queen's eldest children. That wound never healed. It was just buried under decades of royal duty and iron self-control. And now, standing across from each other over a fraud case in 2024, it all came rushing back. When the case entered the courts, it got messy fast. Tom's lawyers identified something immediately and pushed it hard. Balmoral Castle is not part of the Crown estate. It's the King's personal, private property, which means the question of who legally has standing to prosecute what happens inside it is genuinely uncomfortably unclear. Their argument, only Charles, as the sole private owner, could authorize prosecution, and Charles sat completely still. No statement backing Anne, no condemnation of Tom. The king floated in a neutral space, trapped between his wife and his sister, and that silence gave Tom's defense exactly the oxygen it needed. Here's what that silence actually tells us. Anne paid every penny of her legal costs herself, never touched royal funds. She knew the second she did, Tom's lawyers would claim she was weaponizing her royal position. What this entire scandal ripped open is something the British monarchy has never wanted examined. There is no independent body sitting outside royal politics inside this institution, no tribunal beyond the reach of royal influence, no process that can't be slowed by the people at the very top. When royals are divided, the system freezes. It grinds slowly, quietly towards silence. Anne looked at that and decided it wasn't good enough anymore. The woman who sat at her mother's bedside as she took her final breath, who watched the coffin rest in that castle, who has given more of her life to this institution than almost anyone still standing, she is not done. She's not moving, and she is daring the entire British monarchy to tell her to her face that some people are simply too well connected to be held accountable for what they've done.